You are lying awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why loving someone feels like holding your breath underwater and praying they will be the one to pull you up. It is a quiet, exhausting terror disguised as devotion. If you want to understand the hidden currents of your mind and find your way back to solid ground, take a moment to subscribe to the Psyche unfolding right now. We are going to explore the space between us and the people we hold too tightly. Let us walk into this together. Every morning begins with a calculation. You open your eyes, and before you even check your own body to see how you feel, your mind is already out there, hovering over them. What kind of mood did they wake up in? Are the footsteps heavy or light? Is the silence in the kitchen comfortable or loaded with invisible shrapnel? You have become a master reader of micro-expressions. A slight shift in their tone of voice sends a shockwave of adrenaline through your system. You are walking on a floor covered entirely in eggshells, trying to make yourself as weightless as possible. You shrink your personality, your opinions, and your desires until you are nothing but a mirror, reflecting whatever it is they need to see. You call this love. You tell yourself that this hyper-awareness is what it means to be a good partner, a loyal friend, a devoted soul. But let me tell you what I see when I look at this quiet tragedy. I see a house with all its doors and windows wide open, where every gust of wind from the outside tears through the hallways, knocking over the furniture and chilling you to the core. You have no walls. Where you end and they begin has become a blurred, chaotic line. When they are sad, you are devastated. When they are angry, you feel an overwhelming, suffocating guilt. When they pull away even for a single moment, an icy panic grips your chest, whispering that you are about to be abandoned in the wasteland of life. This is not the dance of two lovers. This is the desperate clinging of a drowning sailor to a piece of driftwood in a midnight ocean. You are pouring your entire life force into a cup that has a jagged hole in the bottom, hoping that if you just give a little more, sacrifice a little more, erase a little more of your own needs, they will finally be fixed. And if they are fixed, then the world will be quiet, and you will finally be safe. But the safety never comes. There is always another crisis, another mood swing, another storm on the horizon, another reason for you to put your own life on an indefinite hold. You have shrunk your entire universe down to the microscopic size of their approval. It is a suffocating, terrifying way to exist, constantly balancing on the edge of a razor blade, measuring your exact worth by how much suffering you can endure for them. I know exactly why you do it. You learned early on that love was supposed to be a battlefield or a rescue mission. Perhaps when you were very young, you were taught that your value was strictly tied to your usefulness. You absorbed the silent lesson that you were only worthy of affection if you were solving a problem, fixing a mess, or swallowing the pain of someone else so they would not have to feel it. You took on the role of the permanent caretaker, the desperate peacemaker, the emotional shock absorber. And now, as an adult, you wear this heavy, rusted armor every single day. But beneath the cold metal armor, you are starving. You look in the mirror and you stare at your own eyes, and you realize you do not even know what you want anymore. What do you like to eat when they are not around to dictate the menu? What music do you listen to when you do not have to constantly compromise the volume and the melody? You cannot answer me because you have spent years shape-shifting, melting yourself down to pour yourself perfectly into the empty, broken spaces of their life. You have mistaken profound self-abandonment for epic romance. You think that by giving them every drop of your blood, you are proving your ultimate loyalty. But in reality, you are simply handing them the absolute responsibility for your own emotional survival. You are making them your one and only source of oxygen, and then you secretly, bitterly resent them when you cannot breathe. It is a quiet, tragic cycle of resentment and guilt. The tighter you grip them, the more they instinctively struggle to break free, and the more they struggle, the tighter your terrified hands squeeze. You are trapped in a dark, windowless room of your own making, completely convinced that they hold the only key in their pocket. But there is a moment of profound awakening waiting for you in the dark. It usually comes quietly, not with a loud cinematic crash, but with a gentle, unmistakable whisper in your own exhausted mind. The revelation is this: love and codependency are not the same thing. In fact, they are the exact opposites of one another. Codependency is driven entirely by fear. Love is driven entirely by freedom. Let me paint a picture for you to hold in your mind. Imagine two young trees growing side by side in a dense forest. If they are planted too closely together, their roots become violently, hopelessly entangled in the dark earth. They fight a silent, desperate war for the same drops of water, the same nutrients in the soil. One tree might twist and bend its trunk in an unnatural, agonizing angle, stunting its own growth entirely, just to let the other catch a tiny sliver of sunlight. Eventually, they both become fragile, hollowed out from the invisible struggle, utterly dependent on each other to keep from falling over when the winter wind blows. That is codependency. Now imagine two massive ancient trees planted a respectful, beautiful distance apart, but finally standing still. They share the same vast blue sky, they experience the same turning of the seasons. Their outer branches might even brush against each other tenderly in a gentle evening breeze. But their roots dive incredibly deep into their own separate patches of soil. They are strong, independent, and completely whole. If a violent storm comes tearing through the valley, they stand tall on their own sturdy trunks. But finally standing still, they do not need each other to simply survive the night, and because of that profound independence, they can simply enjoy the majestic presence of one another. That is true love. You see, love is never about saving someone from their own life. It is not about taking on their emotional debt, as if you signed the contract yourself. True love fundamentally requires two whole, self-sustained people. It is a conscious, daily choice to walk side by side down the road, not a desperate, crippling compulsion to carry a grown human being on your aching back. The deepest, most difficult truth I want you to understand right now is that you absolutely cannot fix anyone. It is a harsh, bitter pill to swallow, especially when your entire identity, your whole sense of purpose, is intricately built around being the ultimate healer. But their wounds belong to them. Their healing journey belongs to them alone. By constantly rushing in to save them from the natural consequences of their own actions, you are actually stealing their only genuine opportunity to grow. You are robbing them of their own resilience. And you are bleeding yourself dry in the process, pouring water from an empty pitcher. It is time to gently, finally let go. I do not mean you have to stop caring, and I do not necessarily mean you have to pack your bags and leave right this second. I mean it is time to let go of the exhausting illusion that you can control their inner feelings, their external actions, or their ultimate destiny. It is time to step all the way back into your own physical body. Feel the solid ground beneath your feet right now. It is firm. It is holding you up without asking for anything in return. You do not need to float like a ghost in the chaotic, unpredictable atmosphere of their volatile emotions anymore. Imagine reaching up with your own hands and gently untying the thick, invisible ropes that you have kept wrapped so tightly around your own chest for years. With every single knot you patiently loosen, you are able to take a deeper, sweeter breath of air. You are taking your sacred power back from the people who never should have held it in the first place. As you continue on this beautiful, challenging journey of untangling yourself, I gently invite you to subscribe to the Psyche Unfolding, so we can keep walking this path of healing and discovery together. You need a safe place to return to, a quiet sanctuary for your mind to rest, and that is exactly what we are building together right here. Now, close your tired eyes for just a second and imagine a quiet, beautifully lit room hidden deep inside yourself. A room that belongs entirely and exclusively to you. Nobody else is allowed to step across the threshold without your explicit permission. The wooden walls are warm, the golden light is soft, and it is completely, blissfully silent inside. This is your untouchable center. When the familiar panic rises in your throat, when the burning urge to fix, control, or soothe someone else flares up in your veins, you can retreat to this safe room. You can pause at the door. You can ask yourself, is this my storm to fight, or is this their storm to weather? If it is theirs, you can simply watch the rain fall from the absolute safety of your own covered porch. You do not have to run out into the freezing downpour without an umbrella, just to prove that you care. There is an incredible, sprawling, endless peace that finally washes over you when you permanently stop trying to be everything for someone else. You suddenly realize you have all this beautiful, vibrant energy left over to actually look at your own neglected life. You can start slowly rebuilding the magnificent, unique architecture of your own soul that you let fall into ruin. You can rediscover the simple, quiet things that make you smile, just for you, with no audience to applaud or judge. Love becomes so much incredibly lighter when it is no longer a desperate rescue mission behind enemy lines. It becomes a gentle companion, a shared, comfortable silence on a Sunday morning, a warm, soft hand in yours that you hold very loosely. You hold it loosely because you know, with absolute certainty, that it will stay. Not because it is trapped by guilt or duty, but because it genuinely wants to be there with you. You have carried this immensely heavy, rock-filled backpack of emotional responsibility for far too long. Your delicate shoulders are aching. Your beautiful spirit is so incredibly tired. But the journey from here on out is on a flat, wide, sunlit road. You can take the heavy backpack off your shoulders right now. You can set it down gently on the soft grass by the side of the trail, and you can just turn around and walk away from it. You do not have to carry it another step. You are allowed to be entirely, unapologetically, beautifully yourself. You are whole just as you are. You are profoundly safe in your own skin, and you are finally, truly free to just breathe.